We are reading a kind of a course or a kind of a literature, which is moreover a new form of literature. Why do we call it new? Because earlier, maybe before Pule, and even after Pule, for a long time, literature of oppressed was not at all being written in the beginning years. It started quite late, somewhere in the middle of 20th century. So what happened that at that point of time also, those people who were writing, most of these texts either were written by the Britishers who had come to India, they saw some oppressed people and they thought that they have to talk about this caste system because it is going to be the literature which will allow them to speak. Okay, so reading a story of an untouchable from the perspective of an English person, like a kind of a biography of or of the life of a character like Muli, so all these you will see that a lot of autobiographies, biographies, and most of these things will be coming and will be talking to you about their life in their own language, which may be, or which is going to be their own dialect. And then whatever they have spoken, whatever they've narrated in their own languages, later on it has been translated into English, and that's how this literature has come to us. So you are somewhere going to look into this paper in into the world of kind of the world which remains unexplored for years, despite of having caste system in India for thousands and thousands of years. But this remained the way people were untouchable, even this expression was untouchable.
By non-hegemonic, does it mean that these texts will have characters, these texts will have locations, these texts will have settings, atmosphere, themes, which otherwise we are not really allowing them in the mainstream area?
Yeah, and this is very important thing is that every text that you will be reading, or every poetry, even if you're going to read a short story or anything, you will see that there is a protagonist. But every protagonist will be not speaking only for himself, but he or she will be talking for his or her community. It's the whole community who is going to be spoken or narrated to you through one person. Okay, so this is something which will also allow you to look into those areas which have not been explored, which has not been. I also would like to talk about this thing that when we are looking at the concept of caste or Dalit literature, I always have this thing in mind that that whenever we're looking at Dalit literature or the literature which is based on caste, can we say that we are looking at some kind of a system which was deliberately, or which is deliberately, I'm replacing was with is, which is deliberately is being ignored for centuries, or which remains unspoken. So when it comes to the forefront in the form of literature, it allows us to debate, it allows us to talk, it allows us to explore to those perspectives and look into those dark areas of the people who were untouchables or oppressed. But we can also try to understand it from this perspective of the custom or the system of American slavery. You can see that even in slavery, almost similar kind of thing was happening, but that was slightly different from this, because it was not a system which was oppressing them, because they were considered to be the slaves. But similarity, when we compare it with this, then automatically it is that even every Black person who was born, right from their birth, they were slaves. Similarly, right from the birth, an untouchable is going to become an untouchable. It's not about what he possesses, the qualities, skills, everything is going to be ignored. Only the birth is going to be.
Dr. Charu,
Yes.
say when we say non-canonical literary forms and expressions, so non-canonical literary forms and expressions also existed with women writing, because women were also denied the right to read and write. And
Absolutely.
later when modernity
Not
arrived,
recognized for years.
right.
Literature was
So
not recognized for years. Yeah.
yeah, later when modernity arrived,
Yeah.
they learned reading and writing and started writing even diaries and their letters
Absolutely.
and small
Absolutely.
expressions. They became
In form
now
of
very
poems. Yeah.
difficult
Yeah.
to call them literary, you
Mhm.
know. So that's what you see always. The established literature institutions, they would reject that entire material and will say,
Absolutely.
no, this is not literature. So
Yeah.
this question of what is literature in the context of the low caste people, after having getting education, writing
Mhm.
their experiences. For example, a sweeper having educated will go back and write the experience of sweeping the city, and that would become a poem. Others will say, well, no, this is not a poem because because sweeping and this content doesn't have that kind of aesthetics, that kind of beauty in it, and there are words and there are characters and there are expressions like that in it. So Charu, this non-canonical literary form and expression, as you know, is a very, very substantial, controversial, uh, contestable area where a book like Aesthetics of Dalit Writing or Dalit Aesthetics by Sharan Kumar Limbale came into.
Limbale. Absolutely. Yeah.
Could you please a little bit elaborate onto this point?
Let me just go ahead with this. The point where Sir is trying to emphasize upon is that, the minute we are going to say non-canonical, we must remember that everything that we are going to write, even if it's a poetry or for example, if I'm going to write a poem about nature, it's going to come under a canon, okay, of a literary form. And it will be kept there and it will be understood through that particular area or through that genre. But the minute, this literature of oppressed was, the way Sir is saying, that, it was not accepted for a long time, or which was not even written for a long time, people were not able to speak about it. So automatically, when it came into existence very slowly, it came, I believe that, most of this literature has come into existence through translation. That's my perspective. I don't know what Sir has to say on this, but I believe that, most of this literature could come to us today into that form of literature because of the translation, because we can read it in English, because most of these were written in their own languages. Talking about a perspective or a text like Sharan Kumar Limbale's book, which is on literature on Dalit aesthetics. Let me just talk about this thing a little more, because Dalit automatically is about oppression, something which is talking about the oppressed people, pain, suffering, their stigma, their whatever they've been through, all those Dalit. Where do we find aesthetic in it? We find aesthetic in it because we know that they want to speak. They have a voice now. And the minute they are going to speak or they are going to start speaking, a lot of content which will be coming in front of you will allow you to theorize and explore more into those areas of aesthetics. For example, if I'm going to read a book, or for example, The Outcast by Sharan Kumar Limbale, his own autobiography, okay? It's a very, it's a complex book, a very, very complex autobiography that he has written. A lot of words that he had to remove because they were not accepted by the publisher. They were the core truth. We will find that as women of his own life, they were also going through the same kind of pain and suffering. And he will talk about the life of women or the terrible pain and suffering of women who were existing in his life through his own narrations. Okay. So somewhere it is going to be looking we will be getting an opportunity to look at the whole community. People who are going to be somewhere who have not been allowed to be part of the caste system, despite of being being part of, very much as part of the caste system, which was the lowest strata of the caste system. There
Yes,
is one more thing. Yeah,
Right,
please, sir.
right. So, Charu, I mean, so far as this paper is concerned, say it is literature, uh, make the student aware of completely different literary aesthetics, that our literature is grounded in an engagement with caste. Now, it means that the boundaries of this literature are very clear, distinct. I mean, if we create, say, boundaries of literary fields, this field definitely is encompassed by characteristics which are not found in other papers. Now, what are those characteristics here, as you have also talked about them? Okay, one very important area is that this area, or this field of literature and caste, is encompassed by the characteristics where non-hegemonic texts and where expressions and creative expressions of the erstwhile untouchables and oppressed will be there. Therefore, the social environment, the milieu, the characters, the language, the settlement area, the bastis, and the kind of problems, traumas, and the caste negotiations. And at the same time, you see asserting the new identity called Dalit, which means that there is a gaze. For example, somebody looks at you, but if you have an anti-gaze, okay, when you look at that person, which becomes a statement. Okay, so Dalit caste, literature and caste is responding to the gaze of the past. Okay, the dominant gaze, the gaze that religion in a way approved, or history approved, or Varan Vyavastha approved, or caste system approved, and where the body of the oppressed or the Dalit was under surveillance. And here, this literature in a way is also looking up and giving a statement. So this area, I am just saying that the boundaries within which this literature and caste paper is to be realized and to be seen will be different, distinctly different from, let us say, dramatic British drama and poetry, or say literature of diaspora, or say Indian writing in English translation. And this difference is something which makes you realize that this area is new. This area has broken the path of history. Okay, it has broken new boundaries. It has come up. Okay, and therefore there is a lot of potential of research, lot of potential of translation, international writings, and of course this is an Indian issue, an Indian problem. Therefore, your understanding of Indian society, Indian culture, Indian history, and the way we see this country to become a nation by including everybody is this specific domain here of this paper.
Yes, yes. This is going to be, let's not forget that, as I told you, that, this is going to be, we are going to read this literature through people who have written their own stories which remain untold, because it was always being, for example, when I was teaching you Wife of Bata, right, I told you that there is a line that, what if that, this Bible or these books, or even the Golden Book on Marriage by Theophrastus, if these books would have been written by women, because they are always written by men. Similarly, literature in the earlier phases, especially the Dalit literature, was being written by some of the upper caste people, or by some of the people who had come from outside and were reading caste, or were trying to study caste. But we were not about getting the opportunity to listen to the stories from the horse's mouth. But now this literature is going to be the literature of experience, where you will know everything through personal experiences of these people. As I told you again and again, it's going to be either autobiography or biography. Okay, but all these contents which we are going to listen to or which we are going to read to will be carrying some experiences in them. And those experiences will be theorized, will be understood by keeping them into, or maybe looking at those. They are going to be theory based, they are going to be experiences based, and which are also going to be somewhere like, which will be studied under multi-layered understanding of literature. You people have already been reading like, a lot of texts for last 2 years. And as I've already told you that it's moreover like, comparing it to literature of slavery, because I have been like, reading a lot of books by the American women slaves. And you have already read one of the novel by, I think, Toni Morrison, an American literature. You know that.
And Charu, moreover, this is not a monolithic literature, as the title seems, literature and caste. So
Yes.
why is it plural? Why is it plural? Because if you look at the body of literary or body of Dalit writings from Tamil Nadu or from Andhra Pradesh or from Kerala or from Punjab or from Haryana or from Uttar Pradesh or from West Bengal, there is a huge plurality, and there are very, very different kind of experiments going on, because it is not that caste is an umbrella and it reflects the shadow, the same shadow everywhere. There are religious differences, geographical differences, historical differences, linguistic differences, even belief structures differ. So in that sense, this is not monolithic, and it is a very, very plural body of writing in association with the concept of caste.